Member for Mildura.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, and it is my pleasure to rise today to contribute to the debate on the Gambling Regulation Amendment Bill. Gambling regulation is not a bad thing, obviously. In fact, possibly we need more on it. I don't mind a punt. In fact, I don't mind going to the country races. In particular, I don't mind going to the city races either. And I don't mind betting on sports, but we'll get to that a little bit later. There are some venues, particularly racing venues in my electorate and indeed throughout regional and rural Victoria, that the culture of racing there is alive and well, and it not only contributes on an economic level, but it's part of the very social fabrics that holds these communities together, particularly when times are tough. You'll see this during a trip to the Manangatang races, even when drought was rife and the ground was dry, the Manangatang races offered an outlet for that community. And the Manangatang races hold their own place in Mallee folklore. So I'd invite everyone to come and have a weekend in Manangatang in October. It is a sight to behold. The Mildura Racing Club too, they've actually been underwater. We go from drought to floods. Mildura Racing Club's been underwater for 3 or 4 months during the floods. They're right on the river in Mildura, and because of that, they've now lost all of their races for this year. They've lost their buildings as well. Obviously, they're insured and they're waiting for things to rebuild, but because of the water and the waterlogged situation there, the Shadow Minister and I visited the Mildura Racing Club recently and had a look at that. However, even though they have lost all their races for this year, they are playing host to the Mildura Field Days this Friday and Saturday, which will be a wonderful day out, and it is an event that the racing club can hold there. Other racing clubs, such as Derby Day at the Witchyproof Turf Club, is also one of our favourites. Birchip, not only known for the best vanilla slices in Victoria, but also they have a very, very rich racing history, and they're currently actually seeking support to dedicate what could be the newest piece of silo art after Walpia, to Ray Neville. Now, Ray Neville won the Melbourne Cup at just 15 years of age on Rimfire in 1948, and tomorrow we'll debate the Gambling Taxation Amendment Bill, of course, and maybe this would be a perfect community project that the proposed extra 4% going back into the industry could support. Things like that. Because the racing industry is still very, very supported in country Victoria. The Charlton Harness Races, all codes. Charlton Harness Races, of course, and the Mildura Harness Racing Club. Again, the Shadow Minister and I visited the Mildura Harness Racing Club recently. They're now having 45 meetings a year with an average prize pool of $85,000 per week. That's 45 weeks per year out of 52 weeks per year. They don't have enough stalls. There are drivers and horses that come from as far away as Bendigo, sometimes Geelong, depending on the meet. They don't have enough stalls to accommodate all of the horses and drivers and everyone that comes with them to stay there the entire night. Again, this is industry infrastructure that could be funded with the taxation bill that we'll debate tomorrow. And now the interest and the influx, I suppose, of the growth of female drivers means that the old drivers' change rooms for females that were built for 1 to 4 people can't now house comfortably the 9 female drivers that they get on average. So again, some ways to invest into the gambling industry. They need investment urgently, and another great way to invest that proposed extra 4% that will go back into the industry. While we are talking about country racing, it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge and pay my respects to the family of Dean Holland, who was killed in a fall at Donald on April the 23rd. I send Dean's wife Lucy and their 4 children my sincere condolences. We are speaking about gambling regulation, however, So let's talk about it. Let's talk about gambling advertising regulation, like the member for Ovens Valley spoke about earlier, and it has been, it's always a conversation. It's even a conversation in my house when we're watching our beloved Melbourne Storm or our beloved Richmond Football Club or even Hawthorn now. I've got a son who's decided to jump ship to the Hawks, thanks to his father and probably Seamus, so thanks for that. But I don't need a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old asking what the odds mean or what the bloke riding a rocket on the ads means or what that is all about. And I don't need to hear stories about an 11-year-old kid going to the football with his dad and saying, the Tigers are going to win this today, Dad, they're odds-on favourite. That's not what kids should be worried about. Kids should be, when they're watching sport on TV, they should be watching their sporting heroes and idols, enjoying the movement and colour and discipline and all that kind of stuff, rather than worrying about what the odds are, who are odds-on favourite, and all of the sports gambling ads that absolutely bombard us. And don't get me wrong, mind you, Richmond probably have not been odds-on favourite all year to win. It was just luck and hard work that won us the game on Saturday. However, Friday, thank you. It was a good start to the weekend after a Storm win and Richmond. But we don't need to be bombarded for hours watching sport with our kids. And I don't mind betting on sport. I don't mind betting on international sport. I enjoy a good punt. And I enjoy seeing where, even as member for Morty Alec was saying, you can bet on politics. And I was paying decent odds at this state election, which paid off. That's fine. But we don't need to be bombarded with these ads all the time, particularly during hours when kids are watching sport. Even the banners around the ground, there has to be more regulation. I know it's a federal issue, not to be debated in here, but it is something that we do need to talk about. And now, as much as, like I said before, I do enjoy the races, especially the country races, and I really do, from the winter racing carnival down the road to the spring racing carnival that happens right through the Mallee, the Southern Mallee, into Mildura, and, like I said, the Mildura harness races that happen all year round. And we're not opposed to this bill that we've heard many, many members speak on. I think there is still a long way to go with gambling regulation, and this is a good place to start.